And we are going to go ahead now and go to, as I'm sorry, I'm going to do this. So we are joined now by Majd Faraj, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And again, I apologize because, as I said, I'm trying to learn the board and do these that's little board dance as we push this button, then that button, and then talk about all the great work that you are doing. You are an amazing story outside of what you're doing for Beirut, but give our listeners and our viewers just a little bit about your background and where you came from.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Majd Faraj, so you were close. I'm a second year medical student, and I go to Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. I came here in the US about, I want to say 5 years ago. So I was born and raised in Beirut for 18 years, and then I finished high school there and everything and came here for undergrad. Went to University of Michigan and then, went to med school.
How'd you decide to come to the States, and going through a pandemic as a med student, what's that been like?
Yeah, so coming to the States was kind of a plan growing up because I am a Lebanese American, and I had some family in Michigan. Now they moved to California, and my other family's in Lebanon, so it just worked out to come to Michigan. And being in a pandemic as a medical student is definitely very interesting. There has been a lot of shifts with online learning and all of that, and social distancing while trying to still, learn like physical exams and everything that requires actual human contact. So it's definitely an experience, but I think my school has been doing a great job trying to kind of maneuver through the pandemic.
So let's go back quickly to the blast on August 4th when you saw the video. What was going through your mind? Your heart must have sank.
Exactly. So it's very much an understatement to say that my heart sank. I actually the day before I was I stayed up because I was studying for my studies and all of that, and then I woke up on the video. I wasn't really aware what happened, so I woke up on the video and I thought it was just a fire at first. But then you see how the explosion happens and you see kind of the radius of it. So I immediately, honestly, just screamed. That was the first reaction. And I tried to call my parents because my mom and dad actually live in Beirut currently. So, and those like split seconds of wondering whether, like you said, like your loved ones are okay, if they're alive, that just, I would not wish this on anybody. It's just a horrible feeling.
Since then, you've been involved to try to raise money to try to help the people of Beirut and the victims of not only this catastrophe, but also COVID 19. Talk a little bit about what you've done and the outpouring of support from the Metro Detroit community.
Yeah, so just to clarify, actually, the efforts to raise funds actually started way before. It started in July 6th, like you mentioned, for COVID relief. So I know, I have connections in Lebanon. Obviously, my parents are there. I have a lot of friends there, a lot of connections there. So I do know that they have been passing through some economic crises currently, and with the pandemic and everything, it's just been getting worse. So I gathered up kind of this idea to start this fundraiser to send medical supplies through the World Medical Relief Program in Southfield, Michigan, which is a nonprofit organization, to send it to Rafiq Hariri University Hospital in Beirut, which is kind of the main COVID treatment center in Lebanon. They've been, facing some power outages, not having enough medical supplies, running low on them. So I contacted the CEO, Dr. Firas Abiat, and we kind of, thought of this process. So it started July 6th, but then obviously once the explosion happened, we had an outpour of support, which is, I always say, it's bittersweet. It's nice to have the support, but it's also bitter because of the circumstances. But we did have about, I think we gathered $23,000 in 5 hours, which is amazing. And then, we gathered almost four times as much as our main goal was. Our main goal was to gather $15,000 to send one shipment. But right now we're about $71,000. So we're up to four times as much as we need. So we can send four times as much supplies.
So all that funding that is being put into this fundraiser and going toward those supplies, what are some of those supplies that are going to be donated to the people of Lebanon, to this hospital, so that they can best treat the people for COVID-19, of course, for the explosion and so on?
Right. So the best kind of approach to this, and that happened through World Medical Relief, they have an application process which we send to the hospital. First of all, to make sure that it's an actual hospital, that it's nonprofit, and all of that stuff, that kind of screening. And also, it has a bunch of different supplies that they can choose from. So it's better for them to tell me what they want rather than me just sending things that I think they would need. So they chose a lot of different supplies. Some of them help, COVID relief, like you mentioned. A lot of them are surgical equipment. So we were sending all of that as well in bulk amounts. And in addition to all of that, actually, Dr. George Sampson, who's the head of World Medical Relief, actually dedicated 2 weeks of World Medical Relief just for Lebanon. So they stopped all shipments to other countries and redirected them to Lebanon. So this was a great help because we can send them even more supplies than we intended. So there's like, as I mentioned, surgical equipment, some, supplies for COVID treatment. So there's also a lot of, crutches, wheelchairs. There's also patient beds, actually. There's 12 patient beds that we're sending. So there's a bunch of different supplies.
Majd Faraj, he's a student at Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. We're having an issue with supplies here, or even trying to get things shipped to us. What is the delay, and what has that process been? Not just gathering the supplies, but just trying to get them to Beirut and to the people that need it, and in a speedy manner.
Exactly. So again, this process, and thankfully World Medical Relief is a very established organization. They have an experience with this. So they work with a specific shipping company that sends them by ship. So we were planning on doing, sending them by plane or something like that, but that would not be the best optimal way to do that. And the reason why that is because if you send them by plane, and due to all the COVID regulations and restrictions, they will get stuck in Europe for the same amount of time that the ship will take to dock in Lebanon. So we're sending them by ship. It might take more time than sending them directly to Beirut, but that's the best option that we have currently.
How has this changed how you approach medicine and what you want to do with your future? Do you feel like you're on the right path? And is it hard for you not to be over there right now?
Yeah, it definitely is very hard not to be there. I think I echo all Lebanese people when I say that we all feel like we, physically may be in different places in the world, but with our heart and soul, we are in Beirut. And we feel with all our, brothers, sisters, friends, and family there. And as opposed, as based on your question on my approach to medicine, so the reason why I got into medicine in the first place was because I want to kind of bridge global healthcare systems, to bridge them, to help more, help them support each other, help a lot of, communication between healthcare systems around the world. So this has been very, very in place with what I intended to do with my medical degree. So I'm very big on research. I'm very big on helping different parts of the world, and really not being so focused on just your surrounding region, because really, especially now with COVID and everything happening in the world, we really are realizing how we're all interconnected.
So let me ask you, you did a GoFundMe page. What is that number up to? And if someone is listening or watching, how can they help you as well?
Yeah, so the number last time I checked was $71,500 almost. So the goal right now is to go up to 75,000. And the reason that is to send another shipment to Lebanon. We're already sending two already got sent to Lebanon. There's two that are on the way. We are having volunteers every day, except for Sundays, in the World Medical Relief headquarters, helping with packaging, helping with moving stuff around, and putting everything in the containers. So definitely for students or anybody really that wants to help, they can go to that headquarters and obviously email them or call them first at volunteer@worldmedicalrelief.org in order to kind of maintain COVID restrictions in the area. But you can definitely help in that way. You can also help with donating or at least sharing the fundraiser for sure, because word of mouth really helps with this. It's on GoFundMe, and it's you can kind of search it by saying medical relief to Lebanon, and it's organized by me, so you can find my name is Majd Faraj. And you can either donate there, as I mentioned, or you can just share it so that other people who can donate would do so.
Majd Faraj with us on the Oakland County MegaCast, a student at the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, been raising money to send supplies, medical supplies to Beirut for the COVID-19 efforts, as well as the efforts in recovery of the recent explosion in Beirut, Lebanon. And Majd, you said that a couple of those shipments have already arrived. There's others that are in transit as we speak, and with these continued funds coming in through the GoFundMe, those are going to continue. What's the response been? Have you had any response so far from people on the front lines in Beirut about how these supplies have been put to use and how helpful they've been in the response to COVID and the explosion?
Mhm. So just to clarify, so they have been shipped from here on, I believe it was Tuesday and Friday. So those are the two shipments, but they still have not reached Beirut yet. Again, it's going by ship, so it might take some time. But once they reach there, I believe there will be a reporter from here from the US going there to kind of document the whole situation. There's going to be pictures, videos, just to document where everything is going. I have been in direct contact with Dr. Firas Abiad, and he has been mentioning how, obviously they need more help now than before. So we're hoping, they do help kind of relieve some of the stress in the healthcare sector in Lebanon.
We have such a big community here in Metro Detroit with Lebanese Americans. How important has that been for you to come from Beirut over to the States and supporting you and getting through your program? Because med school, it's not easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. So med school can be a little tough, especially in a pandemic. And everything going on, and then add the stress of an actual catastrophe back home, so that has been very stressful for sure. And just knowing that there is this great community here in Detroit, in the Metro Detroit area, with Lebanese Americans and also non-Lebanese Americans, really Arab Americans as well, and non-Arabs as well. So I've had a lot of support from my peers, for example, in my class, who texted me just asking if I'm doing well. Our dean of our med school also kind of checked up on us. And other, obviously, Arab Americans, Lebanese Americans. Lebanese Americans really share this grief together. So it's really nice to have other people who are there to support as well. So it's been a great help.
So I will say, what advice would you give to someone that is sitting at home and they see a disaster like this happen, not just in Beirut, but anywhere? How have you been able to take on an issue and go forward despite feeling like you're just an individual?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think, with everything that happened, I really did feel, paralyzed at first. I could not really process what happened. I was numb for a couple of days, but I didn't really get the time to grieve or think of anything. I just knew that, action should be done right then and there. So I would say just, think of what is the best option to do in this case, and think logically, really, because we all, have emotions. We all have very strong emotions regarding what's happening around the world, but we really need to think logically as to what is the best solution or what I can do to help, rather than just, complaining or sharing, certain emotions, not to discredit, obviously, everybody's expression. But I think it's very, important to think logically in these situations and think, what is the next step to do in order to alleviate the suffering wherever it may be.
So, Majd, before we let you go, just another couple of minutes, anything else, any other important information that we should know about the efforts to help the people on the front lines in Beirut, or any other ways that the people of our local community can help, or any other information that would be helpful for our audience to know?
Yeah, so there has been a lot of support going to Beirut, whether it be on an international level or on a local level. There has been a lot of initiatives. So if you would like to help in any way, there's a lot of initiatives that help, the Red Cross in Lebanon and all of that. And those are very, valid and very secure. So if you can help, please do so. If you can't, just keep Beirut in your thoughts and prayers. And again, if anybody wants to specifically help sending the medical supplies to Lebanon, they can contact World Medical Relief and get to know this amazing program. And it's here locally. It's in Southfield. And they're making really great changes in the world. So definitely help us out if you can. And again, just keep Beirut and Lebanon in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Oakland County MegaCast, and thank you so much for what you're doing. And you're an inspiration, not just your future plans of being a medical doctor, but also you are an inspiration to show that we can all make a difference just one step at a time. You care about an issue. You follow through on that issue. You don't stop to think about all the reasons why you shouldn't help. You go ahead and you just help. So one person here in Metro Detroit making a huge difference for all the people back in his home country. And we thank you so much and wish you all the best of luck on your medical careers.